A few years ago, I watched the movie Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse, which was about the making of Apocalypse Now. And it's a great movie. I would definitely recommend it for everyone who's interested in the fine line between art and madness. I guess that's putting it kind of stupidly, but it's something like that, something along those lines. But at the end of that movie, Francis Ford Coppola, who of course directed Apocalypse Now, says that he would like to see a time in the near future when, and I'm paraphrasing, when professionalism is utterly destroyed and some fat girl in Ohio becomes the new Mozart. And it's funny, and I thought it was kind of inspirational, and I was kind of down with it. I was thinking I was down with the sentiment of it. But then when you really think about it, Francis Ford Coppola was very much a part of the system, and he had huge connections within the studios, and he knew a lot of people within Hollywood. And just look at the cast of The Outsiders. I mean, every single, it's amazing. There's like 8 or 9 heartthrobs, all in one movie. It's pretty ridiculous. So he worked. Coppola wasn't someone who worked outside of the system, but he seemed in his in this statement of his that he makes at the end of the movie, he seems to be expressing a kind of disdain for the system, for what he calls professionalism, which I take to mean the system, Hollywood, big money, what have you. And while Coppola himself never seemed to be eager to pursue this goal, that is, he never wanted to become, even though he was fat, he never wanted to become the fat girl in Ohio who was the new Mozart. But it was really interesting that he said this before the internet was a thing, well before the internet was around. And what I see happening now, in a lot of ways, as I've cast my eye across the spectrum of visual art and music that's off the beaten path and so forth, is it seems that there is stuff happening. There is stuff being made that I would consider art, that is certainly very creatively done, and that is, there's a lot of talented people doing a lot of things, whether it be music or visual stuff related to video, or writing or whatever. And there's a means by which people like this are finding an audience without having to go and beg and plead from the Harvey Weinsteins of the world. One way in which I see this happening is with a phenomenon like incel core, where the main artist within this subgenre is hated and reviled by so many of the mainstream people. Talking here about negative XP, also known as Shooter, but still has achieved this almost celebrity status in a way, kind of an anti-celebrity status, and a notoriety, and a means by which, without even having to, run his work by anyone, without having to take it to some label and have it be approved by someone and given the green light, and then he's given access to the studio and and all the all the excellent equipment that the music industry has at its disposal. Instead of that, somebody like Negative XP and like all the other artists within the incel core scene, which I am writing about right now, by the way, they are able to do it in a DIY kind of manner, make their own stuff. And a lot of it sounds really good. Like, and it doesn't, like, I'm not someone who thinks that music has to sound perfect in order to be really good, that has to sound, studio, crisp, like with all the sophisticated equipment that you'd find in a studio. But the thing is, you find in a lot of these musicians' songs, like Negative XP or Jezebel Garabli, if that's how you say her name. I still don't exactly know. Hard Christ, and a few others that are within this larger subgenre that's become known as incel core. And that recently achieved the kind of notoriety at Virgin Fest, as you all well know if you've watched my channel. These you listen to these songs, and to me they sound like they could have been made in a studio. I mean, some of them do. Some have a more scrappy kind of indie punk sound, which is also fine. But a lot of them just sound really, really well produced. I'm sure that if I had a more sensitive ear, I would be able to tell the difference between something that was made, in a studio that has the latest equipment, that Cardi B uses or whatever, and the music that these people are putting out. But to my ear, I can't tell much of a difference. And even if I could tell a difference, that's like in the technical proficiency of the way that it's recorded. That's not the soul of the music. So what is my point with all of this? What I see happening with incel core, and it's probably happening in other types of music as well, but it's just incel core, it gets this kind of notoriety because of its relationship to the incel phenomenon, which is really something that people are abuzz about these days. And of course, there's a lot of disinformation, there's a lot of unfair stereotyping, and there's a lot of censoriousness and so forth surrounding this entire phenomenon. But at the same time, these artists have managed to solidify into this subculture, which has managed to find an audience. And there was the people who showed up for Virgin Fest, but they're only a very small percentage of the kind of people who dig this music. And they've been able to make this music and to make it, to put it out there and get it heard, and achieve all this level of notoriety and semi-fame even, without being involved with any label, major or minor. And that's something that I don't think could have happened prior to the internet. Now, I know the internet is like everything else, or like so many other things in life. It's not a question of bad or good, but it's a question of trade-offs. You find certain things that were better in the world without the internet being around, and there are certain things that are worse, that were worse in the world without the internet being around. One of the things that was worse is exactly what I'm saying right now, is that it would have been a lot harder for a scene like this to get started if with different people working in different places across the country, and maybe even in other countries, in some cases, I'm not really sure, but it would be really difficult for that kind of scene to get generated without the capabilities that are given to us by the internet. So I'm not singing the internet's praises, but I am saying in this case, it's facilitating something that's managing to go under the radar, that's managing to resist the gatekeepers, and still reaching a bunch of people, and still pissing a whole lot of people off, which is what punk rock is supposed to do at its best. It's supposed to mock the sacred cows. So I also see the same kind of phenomenon happening with something that I've noticed with several YouTube videos, a genre that I guess has been called analog horror. And these are videos in which there is a storyline, there is some kind of creepy or discomforting tale that's being told, but it's being delivered in a manner that uses old or archaic technology. Like there's a lot of things that sound like they come from a VCR, VHS kind of technology. So, 80s style technology, and like old jingles from the 80s, or this kind of synthetic music, where sometimes it sounds like, due to it being on an old tape, or some other old type of technology, where it sounds like it's kind of gotten worn down and the music gets a little warped. And so these videos, these analog horror videos, they create these kinds of scenarios. They tell this story, which is, open for interpretation in a lot of ways, but nevertheless leaves you. The whole idea, I think, is to just evoke this mood of unease, and they do it very well. And again, these are not people who have. I don't know any of the people doing any of this stuff. But from what I can tell, these are not people who have connections, in the entertainment industry. These are people who it seemed to be creating these videos with this very, DIY kind of style. So they are the fat girls in Ohio that Francis Ford Coppola was talking about. Just like the incel core artists are the fat girls in Ohio that Coppola was talking about. And I see it happening in other places too. So I think we should be more optimistic about the chances for art to flourish in places where places apart from the power centers, apart from Broadway or even off Broadway, apart from Hollywood, apart from Capitol Records or EMI or whoever the hell the major studios are now, apart from the Grammys and all that shit, all the award shows where the celebrities get up and preen and virtue signal and all that crap that we hate. Beyond all of that, there are movements afoot. It's growing in through the cracks, and I urge you to check out some of these videos and see what you think. Just type in analog horror, and a few things will come up, and so it gives me hope. And of course, I'm trying to be a part of this, without being self-promoting here, of myself as a writer. I I'm trying to be a part of this larger conglomerate of anti-system art stuff that's working outside of the auspices of the gatekeeping establishment and outside of their strictures and outside of their silly and ridiculous rules and their censorious attitudes and behaviors. So, what do you think? I know this topic sort of comes out of seemingly out of the blue, but it's something that I got inspired to think about as I was looking more into the entire incel core scene, and then when I became aware of the analog horror scene with these particular videos and these particular video channels, stuff is happening. All right, and so I guess I would say we don't need millions of dollars. We don't need to be rich. We don't need to be connected. We don't need to be successful in order to be able to put out stuff that really reflects artistically, in an artistic manner, that reflects on big questions in a meaningful and profound way. What do you think? Let me know. My name's Andy Nowicki. You can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com. Look at my latest book, The Insurrectionist. It can be found at terrorhousepress.com. Thanks for watching.